I gotta take this, don't I? Of course. I'm taking curling shoes. Where'd they go? We need somebody from the media bench. I'm ready. And no Easterner travels to the West without their beloved humidifier. That'd be a straw. Can you imagine? I would shrivel up like a prune.
6:30 a.m. 2 bags, a lot of scarves, a lot of CBC swag. I'm on my way to Toronto Pearson Airport to meet the Queen of Curling, my great friend. It's been a long time. Colleen Jones, here I come.
It's not quite 3:30. I'm going to Saskatoon. The journey continues.
So it's been about 2 years since I've seen Colleen. Here we go. And we're minutes away from being together again at last. All right.
Nice to see you. Look at us. We're going somewhere. Oh my God. Why'd I let him have that chair? I should be in that chair.
Nothing like a French prairie breeze to wake you up.
It's fresh.
Curling now enters the Sports Weekend spotlight.
Hi again, curling fans. We are back. We're together, kind of, sort of. Welcome inside the Saskatoon Center. Colleen and I are in the house. Cole, I see you over there.
Yeah, over there, Devin. We're still a little separated just because of all the COVID protocols still. So we wanted to do the show mask-free. So here we are. And look at on the other. The teams are practicing behind us. That would be Jennifer Jones in the middle sheet there wearing white. We've got Kelsey Rock and defending Canadian champ Carey Anderson. So we were at practice all day, eh, Deb?
Practice all day, of course. For me, Call, it's so wonderful to be back home in Saskatoon in a building that I've spent many, many hours, of course, the home of the Saskatoon Blades. But now it's the home of the Canadian Olympic Curling Trials. And you and I both know there isn't a better event in curling than this event. And every time this comes around, this is the 7th iteration, we say this is the best field ever. Can we say it again, Cole?
What if we can say this is the best field ever? Although a lot of these faces is whiteboard time. Hello,
and let me just look at your commitment to the whiteboard, right?
Commitment. Took a lot of work to get these. Although people on Twitter said just go to Walmart. I'm going, okay, that's smart. Anyhow, a lot of these teams were there before, weren't they? And we had a chance to talk to a lot of them today, and man, are they pumped. And they're excited. And you talked about best field ever. They definitely have that little bit of extra bounce in their step because 9 teams in the men's and women's section means you really can't afford to lose too many games. As a rule, 3 losses is all you can have going into this. And when you look at the depth of field, especially on the men's side depth, it's just so deep, so strong. A lot of gold medalists on that men's side. On the women's side is just Jennifer Jones that has that incredible experience. Although Team Scheidinger's coached by Joni McCusker from the 1998 Sandra Schmuller team. So definitely a gold medal there behind the bench.
So you got a good look there. 9 women's teams, 9 men's teams. Of course, a long journey to get to this point, and they all took different routes. We had the direct entry trials and then the last chance qualifier in Nova Scotia at the end of October. So we're all here. We're ready to go. We know it's going to be dramatic.
Wow.
And speaking of that, Colleen, let's get right to it. And I think we can still call it breaking news. Less than 24 hours ago, learning that the hometown favorites, the hometown team, Team Dunstone, will be without their third, Braden Moskowy. The team posting on social media last night that he is out due to personal reasons. Colleen, this is just a massive blow to a team that is literally hoping to make it to the Olympics and now having to make this change. And you saw the emotion from Dunstone today.
Yeah, we did talk to Dunstone, and here's a look at just some of the, as you say, emotion and the rawness. And Matt is one guy that we've seen before be very real and authentic with how he's feeling. And Here's part of the news conference earlier today.
It's been hard. This is his moment as much as ours. He's worked his ass off for all of us to be here.
It's really tough.
Yeah.
Tough, but what a replacement they've got coming in at the 11th hour, eh?
Well, and what a story that was. Of course, now we're learning that Colton Lott out of Winnipeg Beach, Manitoba, is into the fray and now into the heart of the action, the belly of the beast. He got a call Wednesday night throwing rocks with his girlfriend in Winnipeg Beach. Now he's on the biggest stage in curling right now. And he shared a quick little story that he got a haircut from his mom because she's a hairdresser. So he's clean, he's fresh, he's ready to go. And he talked about what it's like to be here under the bright lights at the Olympic curling trials. Take a look.
It was out of the blue, yeah. I'm just so stoked to be here. This is such a great opportunity. And
What did he say when you answered the phone?
Oh, he just asked me if I'd be willing to fill in for Braden, and I was just I couldn't even kind of grasp what, because it's just such a great opportunity, and yeah, I was astonished.
And of course, they played junior together.
Colleen, talk to me about that real quick, just about this. I mean, obviously, it's a huge change, and that team chemistry. How do you mentally get yourself into the right framework to go into this?
Yeah. I mean, everybody works with a sports psychologist, and they have Adam Kingsbury, who is, did I get that name right? I know him, but you know.
Absolutely. Yep.
So he was sports psychologist for Rachel Holman and also Brad Jacobs. So at least he's got somebody that can kind of say, look, just vent, let this out, and now let it go and move on. This is the reality. You've curled with Colton before. You know he's a great player. Everybody might remember Colton and his girlfriend finished runner-up to Gushu and Anderson at the National Mix last year. So he's a very talented player. They played together in juniors and won in Canadian juniors. They've got lots of experience. But just to give you a little bit of context about how hard it is to walk in at a situation like this, you'll remember Chelsea Carey filled in for Tracy Fleury at the
That's right.
Scotties. She had warning, a month or so. They had prep time together, and even a two-time Canadian champ couldn't walk in and successfully be that same team player that the other people were used to. So it's just because it's so tough. The bond you build as teammates is hard-earned. The chemistry, the communication skills you get. So he's walking into a really tough situation. But you know what? He also, I don't know if you noticed this too, but he was sort of bursting at the excitement of,
Sure.
I actually can't believe I'm here. My mom gave me a haircut and here I am, right? So anyhow.
Awesome. Certainly a buzz around here today because the players are ready. This is a pressure cooker. Cole, I'm going to ask you to step a little closer to your iPad. I can't hear you very well, so I think that's perfect right there. And we're going to bring in Darren Moulding, because this is a team, when you talk about team chemistry, that seems to have this locked in. And so we'll bring in Darren Moulding to get a temperature check on how he's feeling and how this team botcher is feeling. Darren, it's great to see you. So let's start right there. You guys have played in the last 4 Canadian championships, Brier champions. You're going into this thing. Tell us how you're feeling.
Well, we're ready to go. It's been a 4 years preparation, probably longer than that here. A couple really good weeks of practice and pretty. So we've been kind of trying some new things and just adding a few wrinkles into our game this season. So we're ready to go. I think he's really excited.
How did the summer go? What did you do during the summer as a team to kind of stay together, to kind of keep the bond going? And because unlike a Brier that's in March, you're peaking now here late November.
Well, in the summer, Brendan got married over the summer, so we brought the tankard to Golden, BC, and had a stag there, and that was a lot of fun. You know, each got a little bit of time with the tankard, and then as the summer progressed, we started practicing a little bit and talking a little bit more, and ramped it up into September. And it was just kind of a summer of up and play again. The guy, getting out of the bubble. It's probably like the middle of June before we kind of felt like doing anything after that bubble.
Yeah, that was a long bubble, wasn't it?
Yeah.
How'd you like the ice today, and what was practice like?
It was
so exciting.
Yeah, walking into the arena, looking at all those seats. We haven't played in front of fans for a long time. I guess we got a little bit of a couple weeks ago, but we haven't played in front of a lot of people in there. That's the exciting, and the ice is beautiful. It's always for us.
The audio is a little patchy, Darren. We're going to keep going with this. I'm not sure if we're having a bad internet connection or the mic, but we're doing it live like we always do on that curling show. Can you take us into the mind of a curler on the eve of this event? This is such a different beast entirely. So many of curlers have told me about the Olympic trials, the pressure of it. Why, Darren, does it feel so different? Obviously, the Olympics are the carrot dangling, but this just feels so different.
Kevin, do you want me to be honest with you?
Always.
Yeah. Okay, so like this event here, it's probably even a little bit more than normal, but before big events, I always know probably 3 or 4 days before I leave, I start getting cranky, and I can't eat very much. I'm nervous, and I'm sure my coworkers and friends can tell you that they know that I get pretty grumpy at times, and I just get into that mood where like I feel really fiery all the time. And then when I get to the event, and usually once I get on the ice and practice, I feel better. And I do feel better now. But it's kind of a recurring thing every big event. Not Bonspiels, stuff like that, but like before the Brier, before like maybe once or twice a year. Yeah, it's funny, it happens every time. And, for the last couple days before I leave, I've kind of got to be alone.
I'm nodding in agreement because that sounds all too far familiar.
Yeah, and
snappy, sometimes a bit cranky, bitchy.
Like if anyone says anything I don't agree with or I don't like, I'm just like super snappy, and but it's just I think a bit of a stress response, and I actually know that I'm in a good place when I get like that now. I used to worry about it, but all my friends and family and people who support me, they say, "Oh, you're getting back into game mode." But yeah, no, now I'm feeling loose. We got out on the ice, and once I get here and feel comfortable, then I'm good.
Nice.
All right, we're going to keep moving. We've been asking all the curlers today because we want predictions. Everybody wants predictions. Top 3 men's team, go. Putting you on the spot.
Oh. Okay. Let's go. Man, us.
Yeah.
Gushu and Kui.
Okay, that's very good, very strong.
Awesome.
A lot of people agreed with you on those that we got through both Twitter pics and the curlers too.
I could be very wrong.
Well, but true. It's such a tough field. Who knows?
Awesome.
Anyway, have a great game tomorrow.
Okay. Take care, guys.
Nice.
Good to see you, Darren. Thanks for doing this. It's funny, Cole. He could be wrong because when you look at those fields, some of the curlers today, and I know we're gonna hear from them, aren't we? Because we spend a lot of time today having some fun with them, and I think that's what we're getting to right now, hearing some of those predictions. So let's get right to that from the curlers.
The day.
I'm so excited to be on the curling show. I'm excited to have you. Don't cut me out, okay? No, I'm cutting.
We're so cutting her out.
I just got to go with us, and to be honest, I could care less about the other two.
I am not surprised by that answer.
Ooh, I got to go with Holman, Fleury, and maybe Walker.
Well, I think we're going to be in the mix for sure. You know, I'm biased, of course. You know, Gushu's been playing well here these last couple weeks. They're a staple. They have been the last quad. I would be surprised if they weren't in the mix as well. And for that last team, I really think Kui has the ability to have that extra level. And if he personally is out there playing his best, they're a very tough team to beat. So I think they'll be in the mix this week as well.
I feel really good about our odds. And I believe 9 or 8 other skips are going to say exactly that. We're going to be in that top 3. Gushu's been playing really well this whole year. They're going to be tough to beat. And, you know, Jacobs outside a little bit of a blip last week. They've been one of the best teams on the planet as well. You know, at the end of the day, if I had to put money on any of the teams making the top 3, I'd be losing money.
Oh, well, I gotta say myself 100%, of course. I mean, Fleury seems to be on a roll, so I'll take Fleury. And then, I mean, Einerson, I think she's probably working on all of her big rolls from last year and the year before, so let's say those 3. I'm gonna go Kui. Oh, geez, I take that back.
You have to bet yourself, right? Or we wouldn't be here if we didn't think we were going to win. You know, that crusty old rival of ours from the Rock seems to be playing pretty well, so I'd have to put Gushu in there. And then probably Jacobs. I mean, I'm not rewriting the odds. The odds are kind of what the teams look like, and so, you know. But there's 5 other teams here that probably have something to say about that and have been playing pretty good too. But if I had to bet, even though I'm not a gambler, that's what I would do.
Men's will be number 1. Okay. Number 2, I mean, you have to go like Gushu. Like, I don't even know if they've lost a game yet this year. They've lost 1. They have lost 1? Okay. Must have been a fluke. So I'd put them, you know, in there. And then, I mean, cheapers. I'm going to go with the old Coup Dog. Oh, women's. Okay. Women's. Well, if I don't pick my partner, she would kill it. Team Jones. I have to pick Team Jones to win.
For women? Oh my God. Well, me. I'm just kidding. No, I'm not kidding. Us and who's in this? I'm just kidding. I feel like Anderson is going to be up there too. Like, how can you not count in the 2-time Canadian champions? And I also feel like just Rachel is just so good under pressure. She really brings it for situations like this. So I feel like they're going to be there at the end as well. We've been talking so much about the men's because I just feel like it's a crapshoot. Feel like Jacobs has a good chance. They've, you know, been a little bit on and off, a little hot and cold, but I think they're going to be hot now. I still feel like, Kevin Kui just walked in. I have to say him too.
I love that. I love that.
So nice to hear the curlers talk about each other. I mean, you and I had a lot of fun with it, and I think we saw the curlers having some fun with it. But it was neat to get their perspective on it. A perfectly unscientific reading of what's going to unfold here. But I'm really excited about our next guest, Colleen, because there is a lot of science and a lot of analytics and a lot of data that goes into his predictions. And we're going to introduce Ken Pomeroy, who is literally scouring over all of the numbers and giving us the breakdown of the predictions. Ken, great to see you. You heard the curlers just now. What do you make of their picks?
Well, those are some good picks. I'm sure there wasn't any bias involved in some of those picks, but yeah, I try to take a little bit more of a data-driven approach, not trying to take the fun out of it at all, but really just for my own knowledge, like, you know, take the bias out of it, and, you know, based on how teams have played over the past year and really going back 2 or 3 years, you know, which teams have the best chance to win.
Well, I often use my magic 6 ball. You might want to bring that into the package. But what is the science that you look at?
Well, really, I'm just looking at the games that every team has played. Just looking back, as I said, you know, more weight given to more recent games. So obviously more weight given to this season and how teams have done. But even looking back a year or 2 ago, you know, you don't want to necessarily jump on recent trends too hard, because obviously, you know, teams go through slumps and things like that. But, you know, teams don't forget how to curl over the long term. So even teams that go through slumps are probably going to find their true level, you know, eventually.
Kim, what sort of trends jump out to you? Because I know you track other sports. Is there a thread that you can weave through all of these analytics that sort of tell you trends and let you make better predictions? Is momentum a real thing?
It's a thing, but you got to be a little bit careful with it. Like I think the best example of that is Carey Anderson this year is 0-9 against teams that are top 10 in my ratings, and she's probably better than that. I mean, you look over the long term, the entire Olympic cycle, and she wins about 55-56% of the time against top 10 teams. So you might imagine that she's going to return to that level going forward. So you got to be a little bit careful with momentum. I mean, there's no question that Team Fleury has played the best this year, and they should be considered the favorite, but I still think there's going to be some fight in teams like Homan and Anderson who maybe have been a little bit disappointing.
So who are your picks?
Well, the computer says Tracy Fleury has the best chance to win on the women's side, but we should point out that chance is only 30%. So you get an idea of why there are upsets in these events. It's based on that. And on the men's side, Brad Gushue, obviously his team has been outstanding. And he's the favorite, but he only has a 37% chance. And, it really comes back to, again, that record against top 10 teams over the long haul. Like both of those teams have been excellent, but even, the last 3 years, they've won 57-58% of their games against top 10 teams. And obviously there are, half the field top 10 teams on both sides. So every game is contestable.
What happens when you get like an outlier? Maybe like Casey Scheidegger doesn't play in is not Grand Slams, and now we have Tanner Horgan, in through the last chance.
That's the huge challenge with doing these ratings. You have the Scheidegger case where she didn't play really last year, and she didn't play like half of the season before that even. So you don't have a lot of data on her. Krista McCarville's another great case of that, where she's obviously not playing a lot of events and you have limited data. But you can kind of infer how good they are based on the events they do play, and even if they play limited events, if they're playing a high level spiel, like they're probably not a bad team, and if they perform well in those spiels, then it's pretty easy to rate them based on those numbers. So I think those two teams, by the way, are both dark horses because we do have limited data on them. They might have been a little bit rusty the past few months, and if their game comes together like it did, pre-pandemic, they certainly could be a factor.
All right. You've been throwing out some awesome numbers here. I'm sure you have more. I don't know if you can give us some more, just random ones for fans to hear. And then two-prong, you started and you're known for the college basketball, Ken. How did you get into curling? Because we love that you're a part of the Great Granite game now. So those two-pronged question there. A few more stats because I'm loving hearing those and how you got into this world.
Right. I think the most interesting stat heading into this is that, Tracy Fleury has been so dominant, 30-5 this year. But in those 35 games, she's had hammer. She started with hammer 28 times, which is pretty phenomenal. And I don't think that will continue in this event. I think it'll be a little bit harder for her to earn hammer, every game. So that might pull her a little bit back to the pack a little bit more. As far as how I got into it, I mean, I picked up the sport a few years ago, and I live here in Utah, so there isn't a vibrant curling community necessarily. So started watching a lot of content on YouTube, like your show, and on a lot of games, and just wanted to get into the analytics part of it because that's kind of what I do. So once the pandemic hit last year, I had quite a bit of free time to kind of work on this project and give it the time it deserved, and it's been a whole lot of fun.
Awesome.
There's teams too that get on these incredible roles, like when Epping earned his spot, for example. He just made so many he was on fire, magical shots all the time. And everybody who wins gets these kind of shots that no one else can see. It's sort of a certain mystery that they get, magic almost. But there's no science for that, is there? When somebody just gets so hot, they can make anything.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why we watch, right? Because we can't anticipate that. I think the one interesting thing that I would say is that, right now the European Championships are going on, and like half the field, it's a 10-team field, like half the field has less than like a 0.5% chance of winning the event. In both of these events, according to my numbers, like every team in the event has at least a 1% chance of winning.
I love that.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like a ton, but like Schuster had like a 4 or 5% chance of winning gold in the Olympics. So these small probability outcomes do happen. And like I said before, like every game is going to be contested. The best team against the worst team is like an 80-20 game on both sides. So obviously, Tanner Horgan's going to win some games, Jacqueline Harrison's going to win some games, and one of those lower level teams could get hot and end up in the playoffs, and then it's anybody's game.
Have you got the Olympics picked yet?
I do not. I mean, I need to know
We'll
who's
have
in
you
the
back.
Olympics first, but we'll get back to you on that one.
Yeah,
Good,
we'll have
good.
you back.
And yeah, and we'll get back to you, Ken. Outstanding stuff. Awesome to have you on the show. Thank you for your insights. And yes, we will be getting your Olympic predictions. Enjoy the curling over the next 9 days.
Yeah.
Right. Thanks so much.
And meanwhile, I'll be using my magic ball that says "Time will tell."
Thank you, Ken.
All right. Thanks, guys.
See you. Just to that point, Call, to keep it moving, but love that he said every team has a chance. That just speaks to the depth of curling here in Canada, because we've always talked about it. Sure, at that top level, the world is caught up, but if you go to the teams 2, 3, 4, 5 deep, Canada wins going away, right?
Yeah, it's deep. I mean, especially on the men's side here this year, it's just that like everybody is a contender.
Yeah.
And we all kind of are looking at the top 3 and top 4. Let's remember, only the top 3 get in, which makes this very fast, hard tournament where pressure on every game. But anyway, we asked this question too earlier on Twitter, and everybody had really interesting, well thought out responses.
Right.
Some had their favorites because of the province they're from, but definitely neat to see.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're seeing a lot of your responses. Always love hearing from you, the fans. That's why we do the show. And we are going to bring one of the fans in the house. He's coming in. He plays in the Brantford Industrial Curling League. And here he is. Chris, welcome to the show. Welcome in the house. Tell us about that curling league.
Hey! First of all, thanks for having me, Devin and Colleen. Very cool to be here. So I'm in St. George, Ontario. I play at the Brant Curling Club at the south of Brantford, and specifically, I'm in the Saturday morning industrial curling. Oh my gosh, you're showing me accolades. This is fantastic. So I am I'm a proud member of a 5-time local winner, the Donwood Championship Trophy with my team. That's me. Second from the left, and curling with a couple of guys. The bearded man 3 to the left of me there. That's my dad. So he's actually the skip of my team. Nice. And there I am. That's a rare action photo of me from the 2018 Big Chief Bonspiel. I think that's the only picture of me actually delivering a rock, and I can kind of see how sketchy my form is. But
no, it looks good. It looks solid. It looks very solid.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Coach you in your spare time. But you know what can I say? The industrial leagues, the Saturday morning curlers, the Tuesday afternoon day ladies, and on, they're the backbone of clubs in this country, without a doubt. So it's all so important, and I think it's the bond that holds us all together. But anyhow, let's get to picks and things like that. The reason why we're having you on the show. Who are you liking?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I feel like it's becoming boring to say Brad Gushue. Like, I feel like I need to come up with something else. But I mean, and hearing the stats guy talk about it as well. I mean, it's hard to pick against Gushue. I've been a fan of curling since I was a kid, and I feel like he's been so consistent for the last 20 years. I'm not saying anything new here, but like you can't pick against the guy. Yeah. I feel like if somebody's going to upset him, it might be Brendan Botcher. I mean, the way him and Moulding play together, the way they communicate, the way that team looks when they're firing on all cylinders, like they're ridiculous. So, I mean, they're my sentimental favorite as well. I'd love to see them represent Canada. So Botcher. And then if I have to pick one more, I'm gonna have to say Kevin Cooey. I mean, he's so intense. He's so good. Having John Morris and the guys on that team, they look unstoppable as well. So it's I don't think I'm picking any big dark horses, but it's got to be Gushue, Botcher, or Cooey. But don't count out Epping either.
Oh, don't count out Brad Jacobs. I mean, there's a team again like the teams you just mentioned. So much experience, that they know how to win. They faced the pressure before, and so that's
I'm going to get a hard time for not mentioning Brad Jacobs. That's my dad's team. He's a Northern Ontario guy, and he thinks they're going to go all the way. So if you're right and he's right, I'm never going to hear the end of it.
Yeah. How about on the women's side, Chris?
The women's side, I mean, I don't know how you can pick against Fleury right now. She looks unstoppable from what I've seen so far this season. I don't know if anybody can beat her, but seeing the way that Einarson played last year, bringing together the all skips team, working with Val Sweeting at Vice. They were fantastic. I thought last year they looked really loose. They were playing relaxed. They were comfortable together, and they were unstoppable. And then kind of seeing them this year, I know they haven't hit their stride yet. I saw their power pose when they showed up to the media event. They look intense. So I don't know if they're trying a different approach this time. But I think if Einarson gets going, they could win. And then never count out Rachel Homan. That's a fantastic team. And after the last Olympics, I can only imagine how eager she is to get back.
Great point.
Chris, I think you got to be a regular on our show.
Yeah, you're making a lot of great points.
Yeah, the thing about Tracy's team, unlike you sort of say a Jennifer Jones, who I would never count out ever, because no one's done it more and better than Jennifer Jones, plus Carey Einarson. Teams that have won before, that pressure of having to win a Canadian championship, of going to the Worlds, you build strength there. So Fleury's had an incredible year so far. It'll be interesting to see in the glare of Olympic rings, if it's the same.
Yeah, who performs better under pressure than Jennifer Jones, right? She's incredible in the spotlight, and I'd love to see like a Jones Homan final. I feel like every time they play, there's that kind of undercurrent of Lisa at the lead position. I think curling needs a little bit more drama.
I would agree. Well, you know how much I love drama, so I agree wholeheartedly with that. Before we let you go, Glenn Howard has found his way to the Olympic trials. We had a chat with him today. He was joking. He said, "You knew I was going to find a way to get here." Out on the ice, a fifth for Team Epping. So great to see him. You had a viral tweet because Glenn loves having fun, but this was your tweet. Chris, explain it.
Yeah, I mean, I was watching the Brier like kind of everybody else here, in the earlier part of this year, and I remember watching that team and just kind of waiting for the moment, like when I know Glenn Howard wasn't 100%, but I was hoping they would find a way to bring him into a game. And when he finally came out, and they kind of had that in the lower left, and he did that move. You're showing it there. I was just like, I just kind of laughed out loud to myself. It was just one of those weird, just fun moments that we don't get enough of at like high level curling. So I had to clip it. So I took a little video, I turned it into a GIF, I posted it just to have a little bit of fun. And it kind of got out there, it sparked something in the curling community, and I still see that GIF used sometimes. So it's a good GIF.
It's a good one.
And, what is that movie was doing, right?
The Running Man.
Love it.
Or something.
Chris,
Listen,
nice
Chris.
to have you with us.
No, likewise. That was a lot of fun. Thank you so much. And yeah, looking forward to watching some really good curling over the next week.
Yeah,
cheers to you, Chris. Enjoy it, and awesome to have you on the show. Cheers,
guys.
Cheers. So fun. Yeah, awesome to see Glenn here, isn't it?
It is great to say, and I was hoping they'd get through to the Olympic trials, because the father-son, brother Russ has a gold medal. And frankly, I think Glenn is an inspiration. How great he's playing. How old is he now? 56, I think. It's awesome. It's awesome. And again, anything that reminds us that curling is a lifetime sport, and that you can be Glenn Howard good if you maintain. Just stay off of the snowmobile.
Exactly. That injury, of course. Practices are just winding down behind us for the day. All the teams getting time on the ice today, including Team Fleury, like we've been talking a lot about tonight, and stepping in as the alternate, someone who has a lot of experience, of course, at the Olympic trials. Chelsea Carey, we love having her on the show. Great to see you, Chelsea. Thank you for being on the show. Where are you at with the feelings, being with this team, being at the Olympic trials? Because like I said, you're no stranger to this experience.
Yeah, I'm excited to get going. I know the girls are really excited to start playing. It's hard for me. I would rather be playing in it, and there was some question as to whether or not I should be or not, and that's fine. That's where we're at. But I'm so excited to be here with this team. They're such great people, and they're having such a great season that I'm really excited.
You were runner-up, of course, to Rachel in Ottawa 4 years ago. Can you describe, Darren did a fabulous job just talking about kind of the pressure mounting, but what is the pressure the players face in this with only 9 teams in it, 3 teams make the playoffs. It's sort of right from game one.
Yeah, it's the most intense experience I think I've ever had curling. It's, most of the time you go to a Scotties or a Briar or a Slam, and there's, you go for dinners and you hang out and you joke around with the other teams. There's just less of that at this event. The atmosphere is just different. Everybody's ramped up in the intensity a little bit. Everybody spent 3 years, 4 years preparing for it. So it just doesn't have the same feeling in the social side. Everybody's just more serious, and it's a very, very intense week. And it's just one of those things that you have to spend a lot of time preparing yourself for that level of intensity, and you have to find ways out of it for little breaks, because you can't let yourself stay in that all week and have any chance at performing.
Sure, people should come on that curling show when we
exactly
next week. What are your picks? Let's start with the men's.
I haven't. We just finished dinner, so I haven't watched the whole thing. But it sounds like I'm going to be a broken record here. I was picking a Jacobs Gushu final a couple weeks ago. So I stand by that still. You can never count out Kevin Cooey, especially not with you can't, when it comes to the Olympics, you can't count out John Morris, period. That's a good point. To find ways to get to the Olympics. So you never know with them. We saw a little bit of what I would call Magic Mike at the pre-trials. And he lost the final the last time too. So that's a team that I think would be a dark horse. If they get hot, if Mike gets hot especially, they certainly have a chance. But yeah, I would pick those 2 in the final. I don't think you can count out anybody. I mean, Botcher is Botcher. We all have seen what John Epping can do when he gets hot. The men's field is really tough. It's very wide open to me.
Yeah. And all throughout the show, our stats man, the fans, everybody, they're talking about Team Fleury, the best team in the world, the #1 ranked team in the world right now. Give us a women's picks.
Well, obviously I'm going to say my own team. But it's interesting when it's just one of those seasons where some of the sort of the perennial favorites aren't maybe having as good a season as we would come to expect from them. Now, that being said, they're having a better season than 90% of people anyway, but still, they're maybe not coming in as hot as we would expect them to, but you just can't count them out in an event like this. So like a Jones, like a Holman, like an Anderson, those teams are all capable of winning this. It's just a matter of if they because you'd spend all your, you're trying to peak for this event. So, maybe it's good that they haven't yet. Maybe it's not. We won't know, right? It's just one of those things. But yeah, I mean, obviously I'm going to pick my own team.
We'll know next Sunday.
Yeah, exactly.
That's going to be our safest bet.
Can I jump in? Chelsea, one of the interviews you gave on this show, one of the more compelling interviews about how hard it is to represent Canada, that perspective we don't hear enough of. I'm wondering what you feel you can bring to this team and this pressure cooker, and knowing what lies ahead, what perspective you can share, knowing, because you've been through it, how hard this all is.
Well, it's interesting because when they asked me to be part of it and Sherry Madaw is coaching us, and I said, well, you guys, here's the deal. Sherry and I can get you to the Olympic trials final. And then you're on your own because neither of us know how to win that game. But I mean, I think it's a lot of that. It's the girls' first trials. So, having been experienced, having been through the trials a number of times, is something that I hope I can bring. Just some sort of preparation for what's different about it versus the events that they have played. I mean, they have a ton of experience in all kinds of other events. So won slams and been to the Scotties and done all those things. But it is just a bit of a different beast. So just the conversations around that. And then I'm not worried about the representing Canada part yet. I'll try to prepare them for that when that happens. For now, I'm just trying to, do what I can to help them out with this week, because, this, as hard as the Olympics is and as Worlds is, this is the best field of any Canadian event that you're going to see. So you got to get this one done first. So I'm not even worried about that part yet. We'll cross that bridge when we get there.
Good answer.
Yeah. I like what you said about not winning the Olympic trials. You can't do with that part. And yet sometimes in defeat, we learn so much more than, losing is often the best, lesson.
Yeah.
So teach them that too. Nice to see you again.
Good to see you guys too. It's been a while.
Yeah, it has been a while, and we're all kind of in the same building and same space, so we're getting
closer anyways. Yeah. Across the way there.
Exactly. Always great to see you, Chelsea, and thank you always for making time for us, and we'll see you here throughout the event.
Sounds good. My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Thank you, Chelsea.
And just to bring up another whiteboard, 2 of the big games tomorrow when the women step on the ice first is Carey and Tracy Fleury right off the bat. So that's a big game to watch. Oh, Chelsea's bounced back in. And Botcher versus Gushu. So we got two kind of games that are going to be super interesting right away. They're all interesting.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And Chelsea could just hang out with us if we want on the show. I'm not sure. Producer Soph, do we want to leave Chelsea on the show? I'm not sure. We can. I mean, we always, I guess not.
Disappear. Just like that. That's what Sophie's the control. You talk too much, gone.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So listen, we know what's at stake. We know how much this means to the curlers. So let's remind all of you what happened 4 years ago in Ottawa at the Canadian Olympic Curling Trials. It was magic. Let's relive it right now as we get ready for this year's Olympic Curling Trials.
Back right off now. This is all on its own. Backed off. Sit down. Sit down. Oh, just.
Problem is, if we don't kill a red, I'm not going to have a triple, right? That's the order. She's going to have a double. We got to hope she misses it. Whoa, 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 whoa.
Now, where will they settle?
Sit.
Oh, dear. And she punches that yellow way back. On the nose. Final stone here at 10. Hard. One. Got it. No. She'll roll across. Needs to make them both go away. Makes to make them go. And she will not. The Canadian champions, the world champions, are now Olympians. Stone top edge to the four. Here it goes, and he's using the back kick. Oh! And red it is.
Matt's tight.
Yep.
Oh, no.
Yep. Wow.
Beauty. Good.
Final stone on the way. Here comes Kennedy. You need the 4 foot. You got to carry it to the floor. To the floor. To the floor. And for
I got goosebumps.
Me too. And
Yeah.
all four of those players are here. Of course, Lang is with Epping, Kennedy is with Jacobs, and Ben is still with Kevin. And Johnny Moe, double Olympic gold medalist on that team too. So
Speaking of Johnny Moe, Colleen, on CBC Gem, as we do all things curling here on CBC Sports, we are going to be showing the 2010 Olympic gold medal game in Vancouver. What a situation that was. What a celebration. Look at Benny, Mark, John. I mean, that's 11 years ago right now, but I don't know about you, Colleen. It feels like yesterday for me, and we all can relive it on Monday at 5:30 p.m. Eastern time. We can relive that. I'll be watching because, of course, it's going to just set the stage for us leading into the next Olympics, which are 77 days away.
77. So many great storylines to see who is going to be representing Canada at these Olympic Games. So many. And I mean, to think that Gushu and Mark Nichols, who won in 2006, could be going back all these years later, and that he's top of the. They're better than what they were in 2000. They were great then, but they've elevated their game. They keep finding a way to elevate their game. There's so many great stories here this week. We can't wait to bring them all.
Yeah, well, and we should mention everybody's talking about Gushu. Of course, they've won 16 of the 17 games they played this year, and they're wearing orange uniforms. Let us remind you that in 2005 in Halifax, they were also wearing orange uniforms when they stunned the curling world and then won gold at the Olympics.
They're not superstitious.
Not superstitious. Cole, we should let the fans know that we will be taking the show on the road after today. So this is how this is going to go. We're going to hit pause on the show for the next few days and buzz around and cover curling and drink
bring
coffee.
stuff on Twitter and everything. Yeah.
Do all of that. And then on Wednesday, we return and we will have a show every night, Wednesday to Championship Sunday. And we're going to be at the Granite Curling Club downtown Saskatoon because the Junior Championship is also taking place in the city, taking place at the Granite, and we want to highlight them.
Yeah, we really do. I mean, during this pandemic, and this is so nice that this event is out of the bubble, and but the juniors really suffered for the last couple of years, unable to have events to play in. And so this is to decide who's going to the World Championship. And it's a great field, and there's so many great curlers, and they are the future. So it's great.
Well, and I'm going to say this maybe a couple more times after this, but I won my 2 high school city championships at the Granite Curling Club.
You have a banner up, Devin?
We might find a banner.
Well, I'm going to look for a banner. Oh, I hope there's a banner. That's awesome.
Listen, it's so great to be together again, Colleen. It's going to be an exceptional event.
There's Devin.
It's going to be an exceptional event. We're so glad to be sharing this with you, the fans. We'll be back Wednesday night, but we'll be on every social media thing you're on over the next few days.
Devin's over there somewhere, right? Yeah, there. Can you see him? I'm risking dropping off the line doing that. But
we really have no fun. We love our work. We love being in Saskatoon, and we will see you all Wednesday night from the Granite Curling Club.
Thanks, producer Soph.
Thanks, Soph. Talk to you soon, curling fans. Enjoy the curling.